Welcome to the Planning and Land Use Management Committee. It's Tuesday, August 14th. I've been joined with the Honorable Councilmember Jose Rizar, and I'm not sure if Councilman Englander will be here today. I don't think so. Okay. So that being said, before I dive into the agenda, I just want to share with you that you have a 2-minute clock that's facing you when you come to the microphone. If you can get to your points within those 2 minutes, this committee would very much appreciate that. You might find yourself at the microphone and realize that the person that spoke before you feels exactly the same way and said everything you wanted to say. If that is the case, it's okay to say, I agree with the previous speaker, and it'll probably be the best speech you'll ever make. But that is something we would very much appreciate. Now, if you have anything new to add, we need to hear it. But to be saying the same thing over and over again just isn't very efficient. When you come to the microphone, as you can tell, the acoustics are not the best. It's hard to decipher what's being said. So if you have conversations out there, please take them outside, because it does drown out the voice in this room. I think they designed it before they knew we were going to have huge speakers up there, so we would very much appreciate your cooperation there if you take your conversation aside. When you come to the microphone, speak into it and give us your name and address. If you wrote a long letter, get to the point of the letter, because sometimes you find yourself reading a letter, you ran out of time and you're frustrated, and I didn't get to my point. So please. So that being said, let's go into the items that do not have cards that I think we can dispose of rather quickly. And these would be consent items, if Councilmember Huizar agrees. So item 4, we can approve on consent. I see no speaker cards. It's the correction ordinance and plan amendment resolution. Item 5, we can move on that, seeing no cards. Item 6, I'm sorry, false alarm. Item 8, I saw everybody jump on that one. Item 8, we can approve as well on consent. So those will be the items we can move at this time. If you agree, Councilmember? Okay, so we can move those items. Next, we have 2 guests who are being considered for appointments and actually reappointment. And we have with us Mr. Matt Epstein of the South Valley Area Planning Commission. Come on up, Matt. Good day, sir. And this is for the term ending June 30th, 2017. And you're a pro at this now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how many years have you been doing this?
Since 2000.
Since 2000. So, wow, that's about as long as I've been a council member. One, I want to thank you for your stamina. You never gave up, and you still want more, which is great. Anything you'd like to share with this committee in terms of your reappointment?
No, if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for.
No, I just want to say thank you, and I'm just assuming that you're doing such a great job. They want you back, and you're willing to step up, and I thank you for your time and your contribution to the city.
Thank you.
Any questions, Councilman?
3 minutes, yeah.
3 mayors, all right. Okay, Councilman?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Epstein for his years of service, as well as being on the South Valley Area Planning Commission. He spent some time with us at the Citywide Planning Commission, did a great job, not only looking at Valley issues, but the city in general, and has been very supportive of the staff work and hearing the public when they come out, and he runs a very respectable meeting, similar to the Plum Committee, and I think he's been a really good asset as a commissioner, and we thank you for all your years of service.
Thank you.
Well, that's all. I think you'll be coming with flying colors. And what do you expect the gentleman here for council?
Mr. Chair, it was previously slated for council on August 21st. However, that day is deemed Revenue Day by the council president. So this item will be in council on Friday, August 24th.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, our next guest, another reappointment, Mr. Oz Scott for the Cultural Heritage Commission. Good day, sir.
Day.
So how many years have you tallied here?
I actually thought it was only like a year or two, but I guess it's been 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
My gosh. All right. Time goes fast.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything you'd like to share with the committee?
No, I've enjoyed the work. There's so much to be done on landmarks in this in the city, and for me, it's been a lot of fun. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. I know we have to be more creative with our resources, and this is a entity that works with many different elements within the city, and to be able to participate in that, I thank you, sir, because of the limitless amount of opportunities for joy and arts and music and everything else. So, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Councilman?
Yes, he directed the video that introduced Jesse Jackson to the 1988 Democratic Convention.
Yes, I did.
I was an ardent Jackson supporter at UC Berkeley at the time.
Good.
Thank you. We have that in common.
Well, thank you, sir. It will be highly recommended. And when will we see the gentleman in council?
Mr. Scott is scheduled for council tomorrow.
Tomorrow. All right. Well, the pain will be over soon.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay. So, Roberto, where does that take us?
That would be item 3, council members. It's a CAO report recommending approval of construction services trust fund monies for the building and safety's customer queuing system.
Well, I think it's a great program, and it adds to our efficiencies. It makes the experience of our constituents that much more productive in terms of how they get treated at the counter and go through their plans. It's going to aid more than one department in this process, so I would like to recommend that we approve the CEO recommendation to approve the $280,179 from the construction services. Wait a minute, do I have the cards on this? No, I don't. Construction services by providing improvements to the existing Queuematic customer queuing system used at all departments of building and safety construction service centers. Have a second on that? Second. Okay, so that will be the action of this committee. Thank you very much. All right, Roberto.
The next item, council members, is a planning commission proposed ICO to regulate new formula retail uses in Chinatown.
Okay. Have the department please come up.
Good afternoon. Connie Polini-Tipton from the Department of City Planning. Nick Marisich from the Department of City Planning will be presenting the City Planning Commission's recommendations on the proposed ICO.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. Nick Marisich with City Planning, and this is case number CPC 2012-1504 ICO, proposed ICO for certain formula retail uses in Chinatown. The City Council passed a motion on March 23, 2012. It's Council File 12-0382, requesting that the Department, with the assistance of the City Attorney, prepare and present an ICO to temporarily prohibit the issuance of demolition, building, or any other applicable permits for the establishment and operation of new formula retail uses 20,000 square feet or larger for portions of Chinatown in Central City North Community Plan. The area described bounded by the 110 freeway to the west, Sunset Boulevard and Cesar Chavez Avenue to the south, Main Street and Alameda Street to the east, and College, Broadway, and Cottage Home to the north. The draft ICO contains a formal definition of formula retail uses, but in general this term is used to describe retail establishments commonly referred to as chain stores, with a common product line, signage, or trademark. City Council approval is required for the adoption of an ICO, and state law requires a 4/5 vote of the Council to pass. Per the motion, staff has prepared a draft ordinance forwarded to you with the commission action that addresses the issues outlined in the motion, should the committee recommend approval and the council ultimately adopt the ICO. In the draft ordinance, staff has proposed to clarify the definition of formula retail uses that would be restricted under the ICO, to limit any sales activity or retail sales establishment which, along with 11 or more other retail sales establishments in the United States, maintains 2 or more of the following features: a standardized array of merchandise, a standardized facade, standardized decor and color scheme, a uniform apparel, standardized signage, trademark, or service mark. There is an exception in the draft ordinance that would allow existing businesses operating within the area as of the effective date to be able to expand in size or move their location during the ICO period. Per the city attorney, if the committee would like to move forward, staff recommends an amendment to the ordinance in front of you that the term of the ICO should be amended to be 45 days for the initial term, with a possible extensions up to a maximum of 2 years to align with state regulations in this matter. On July 12th, the City Planning Commission, after public comment and discussion, voted 5-2 to disapprove and recommend that the council not adopt the ICO. The vast majority of speakers addressing the commission spoke in regards to a particular project that is not being considered as part of the action on the ICO. The commission's discussion focused largely on the question of urgency in this matter and the types of stores that would be affected under the temporary moratorium, namely grocery stores such as Ralph's, Walgreens, Trader Joe's, 99 Ranch Market, which was noted as a Chinese grocery chain store, and assorted department stores, furniture and home improvement stores, and hardware stores. The Commission was concerned about preserving Chinatown's unique community character and noted that mom-and-pop stores in the area are currently struggling. However, some commissioners reflected that the ICO would not necessarily preserve community character because smaller chain stores, such as restaurants, coffee shops, and retail stores, would be exempted. A majority of the Commission felt that an emergency measure was not necessary at this time, but that a study of such issues could proceed. The staff is available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Okay. So unless there are any questions of my colleague, we can go into public comment. And let's dive into that phase of the hearing. We'll take this one step at a time. So with us we have, and I apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly, that with us Safad Phea, Phea. Please come on up and give us your name and address. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Hi. My name is Sopat. That's my address, you said?
What would you like?
I live in West College Street, 939 West College Street, apartment 307, Los Angeles, California, 90012.
Please.
I am a member of SICA and CCD. I live in Chinatown almost all my life. I went to school in Chinatown. I still play at the park, shop, and eat in Chinatown, and even get my hair cut in Chinatown. I have friends and family living in Chinatown. It's a big part of my lifestyle, and it's home to me. I would hate to see big chain stores such as Walmart in my neighborhood, because it'll bring in unfair competition and labor practices, as well as traffic. My mom also owns a small business in Chinatown. I fear that my mom, as well as other small businesses in Chinatown, won't be able to compete and won't be able to continue living or working in Chinatown. We can't afford the cost of living to raise. I do not want to have to see small businesses and friendly faces forced to leave. So I'm begging you to please pass the ICO. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Yeghei Kasheshian. And then we'll have Jennifer Lim. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeghei Kasheshian with the Central City of Association of Los Angeles, representing the 450 members, which employ more than 350,000 individuals throughout the city of Los Angeles. Nearly 20 years ago, residents of Chinatown were promised a grocery store, and today the city has been fortunate enough to attract a bona fide operator to invest in the empty shell of the space. We urge this committee to confirm the Planning Commission and the Planning Department recommendation to not proceed with the ICO. The Planning Department's report and recommendation confirms what we have been saying all along. There is no threat of a proliferation of formula stores in Chinatown. What the staff report cannot state, but many of us clearly see, is a real motivation behind this ICO. Opponents are using this city's land use process to stop a project because they disagree with a specific company's policies. This is an extremely dangerous precedent and an abuse of power. The Chinatown community deserves access to the critical neighborhood-serving amenities, just like every other community in our city does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Jennifer Lim. And then we'll have Judy Erickson.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm talking today on behalf of Mr. John Allen. This is his letter that he wrote. I'm a little nervous.
It's okay. Take your time.
I am a business owner for more than 10 years in Chinatown, and have been seen sale and traffic drops 50 to 60% in the last 5 years. We as mom and pop business owners struggle to keep our business open in this challenging time. I am a father of 2 daughters, 5-year-old and 10 months young. What will happen if Walmart comes to our historical community? In fact, every time Walmart open, the local business community suffer and go out of business. For example, when Walmart opened in Baldwin Park, all business closed except for one site store. The community also, as a whole, suffer and the people suffer. Commissioner, accept your leadership and pass the ICO and say no to Walmart, because our decision will shape the future of the Los Angeles, and you will leave a positive legacy. Thank you, John Allen. I'm a little nervous because I'm reading over a paper of someone else, but as from myself, I'm also a resident in Chinatown. As you can see, I don't have any letter on me to speak of what I want to say because it's truly from the bottom of my heart. I feel like having Walmart in Chinatown will basically, it's not going to be Chinatown anymore. I mean, Walmart in Chinatown, we cannot call that Chinatown anymore. It's a totally different place. And as a resident there, I love Chinatown because it's kind of like remind me of like my family and my home and where I used to come from, where my parents would go to the store and then have a conversation with the store owner. It's kind of like a community where we all know what's going on, and that's where like the love of the community is built. And I want the commissioner to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Judy Erickson.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is this all right? Okay. My name is Judy Erickson. I'm here on behalf of the Los Angeles County Business Federation. The Business Federation is comprised of over 100 top business organizations across LA County. They represent more than 185,000 business owners in the county. In LA City Council districts, they account for approximately 69,000 business owners. BizFed's Advocacy Committee is unanimously opposed to this proposed interim control ordinance for Chinatown. While BizFed is supportive of good planning policies and principles to ensure quality of life for everyone, the city's own planning commissioners have recommended against this ban. Specifically, your planning commissioners have said this ICO is not needed and does not conform to city policies and the city's general plan. The City of LA has added more than 823,000 people, but lost more than 165,000 net jobs since 1980. BizFed's Advocacy Committee does not believe the City of LA needs to be adding another layer of regulation for our job creators for a problem that does not exist. We urge you to adopt the advice of your own planning commissioners and not move forward with this ICO. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. She Manley? S-C-E Manley, M-A-N-L-I? Hi, ma'am. Good day.
Here I got a letter from a business owner called Tony. He owned a jewelry store called GND Jewelry on the Broadway. Here he said, Dear City Council members, I'm a Chinatown business owner, Tony O, and I support the proposed income control ordinance. The issue of Walmart coming to Chinatown personally matter to me because I'm a business owner and I run a jewelry store over 25 years in Chinatown. If Walmart drive away business, many people will be unemployed. I know there are many members of the community who are in the same situation as me. The traffic congestion as it is very hectic, especially with the music concert every so often, and with a Walmart it will make congestions even worse. With the opening, the traffic congestions will be worse for me to get to work in a timely manner. Walmart was never part of historical Chinese culture, and if open, many people will lose the essence of what makes this part of town known to be Chinatown. Chinatown should not be given to corporations that do not know the history of Chinatown. In addition, Walmart is pretty much one of the worst employers to many people with their low wages and how they do not offer health insurance to many of their employees. Overall, the opening of Walmart will harm a lot of small business owners like myself. I believe there are other ways for people to be employed and still keep the enriched history of Chinatown alive. So, council members, I encourage you to pass the income control ordinance to protect the community and small local business around to keep the unique history of Chinatown. Thank you for your support and patience of reading. And can I submit a copy to you?
You can submit it over to the clerk. So, officer? Great. Okay, next speaker is Jessica Duboff and then King Chung. Jessica Duboff and then King Chung.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Duboff. I'm here on behalf of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce and our 1,600 member organizations. We support the Department of City Planning's recommendation report and the City Planning Commission's decision to disapprove the proposed interim control ordinance for the Chinatown community. The ICO is not in substantial conformance with the purposes, intent, and provisions of the city's general plan, and there hasn't been an abundance of formula retail uses that would warrant consideration of an ICO. This ICO sends a negative message to businesses that may want to invest in Chinatown or Los Angeles as a whole in the future. While our economy continues to struggle, the city should be doing everything in its power to encourage investment in communities, particularly when that investment conforms with existing plans. The Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce urges that the interim control ordinance for Chinatown not be adopted. Thank you.
Thank you very much. King Chung, please come on up. And then we'll have Vivian Barone.
Good afternoon. My name is King Chung. I'm a member of the Chinatown Community for Equitable Development, and I'm here to speak in favor of the ICO. I am very disappointed with the city department's planning or lack of planning in this matter. Their study is not even a study. I remember that at the first meeting of the city council, and I think that you city council members instruct the city planning department to study, one, the question of traffic, and two, the question of economic impact. If you look at the study, none of them, this issue were addressed. You know, the plan was 20 years old. It was before the arts high school, that was before a city were built. Now the traffic had been pretty bad over there. You can go there and see yourself. If there's like rush hour traffic with the Dodgers, it'd be really horrible. And more traffic means that more pollution, more noise, and it's going to cause more health problems for the seniors living in that building. My mom used to live there before she passed away. If she's here today, she would definitely oppose a chain store, big chain store, to open a grocery store there. The other thing is that dealing with the economic impact. And I guess I had to put an address to it. I just didn't understand what the city planning department is saying. There's no need, there's no urgency. Are we going to wait until Office Depot, Walmart, and all the other big chains move in before we do anything? No, of course not. We want to plan ahead. It's kind of preventive measure, not after you get sick and you take all the kind of medicine. We want it now. We don't want to wait until things get a lot worse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Vivian Boland.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Vivian Barland. I'm here as a representative of our Walmart Association, representing thousands of Walmart workers across the country. We're here to ask you to please pass the ICO in support of further research. The associates that work at Walmart are promised. We sat here today and we heard people say that they want to have a bona fide business come in. They want to have a job creator come into the community and provide these things. But really, if you talk to these workers, the jobs that they're getting are not good jobs. They don't make good wages. Most of them don't get health care, and they end up on federal funded programs or state funded programs for welfare, Medi-Cal, insurance, and food stamps. So we're asking that you please take into consideration that these employees have a story, and that this largest retailer in America can afford to run their business responsibly, and they're not doing it. And so we cannot allow them to come into our communities and continue to drag down the standard in our industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And hi, Gwen, A-I-H-A. And hi, Gwen. Please come on up. I'm sorry I mispronounced your name.
That's okay. It's Ai-Hun Nguyen. Good afternoon, council members. I am with the LA Alliance for a New Economy. I'd first like to thank Councilman Ed Reyes for his leadership on this issue. As you've heard from the testimony just now, and you'll hear from more constituents of Chinatown, demonstrates that the businesses, residents, customers, workers, students, and teachers are unanimous in their support for the interim control ordinance. Most of the people who are opposed to it represent large businesses which don't exist in Chinatown, and that's exactly what we're afraid of, and that's why we need an interim control ordinance in place now before the problem becomes critical. Chinatown is a CRA project area with special boundaries that have created to accomplish a number of goals, among them maintaining the area's prominence as a focal point of commerce and culture for the Chinese population of Southern California. LA has invested vast resources into making Chinatown a thriving community, including building affordable housing, supporting local small businesses, and improving transit. Given these goals, city leaders should take special care to protect the unique economic and cultural characteristic of the area. Over 75 businesses, from family-run pharmacies to grocers and markets and art galleries and the Business Improvement District, are deeply concerned and have come out in support of the ICO. The loss of these businesses would undermine the city's efforts to maintain and build on the vibrancy of the area. The compound impacts on Chinatown could be devastating. The loss of grocery stores, countless small markets, and pharmacies will decrease access to key services in the community, including food, eliminate the sole source of income for families who are mom and pop stores, and force workers out of a job, including limited English speakers who will struggle even more. Moreover, expert analysis of the planning department's report demonstrate it erred in judgment and shows poor planning. This is clearly an urgent matter. The ICO is intended to be put in place before harm is done. Waiting until the community is actually threatened would render the ICO useless. This is about taking action to protect the interests of community and constituency before irreparable harm is done. Thank you.
Please submit your letter if you like. Thank you very much. Dennis Wang. And then Ceci Chu, I believe. Good day, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Wong. I'm the Executive Director for the Asian Business Association of Los Angeles, off of San Pedro right over here. We are in opposition of the proposed ICO. It doesn't reflect the needs of the Chinatown and the mission of our association. The association has been focused on supporting the growing needs of the desires and aspiration of entrepreneurs and business owners in the greater Los Angeles area. We help Asian American small businesses gain access to economic opportunity and advancement. We believe the proposed ICO will stifle business growth and add another difficult layer to the already strenuous process of opening business in Los Angeles. Companies should not be given another hurdle to jump over, but rather encouraged to invest in Chinatown to help turn the empty storefronts into vast thriving business in our community. Last month, the Planning Commission made a recommendation to the City Council not to adopt the proposed ICO, the Asian Business Association supports that recommendation so that Chinatown can have a chance to experience the economic revitalization, job creation, retail options that Chinatown and Los Angeles so deserves. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Ceci True. Now we have Doug Arsenal.
Hello, council members. My name is Sissy Trin. I'm the executive director of the Southeast Asian Community Alliance, or SICA. We've been in Chinatown working with high school students for the last 10 years. And I'm here to support the ICO. According to the Business Improvements website, there are 30 bakeries, markets, small-scale grocery, and pharmacies that are directly at risk with Walmart coming in. These are businesses that are going to be in direct competition. You know, we keep hearing that Walmart's going to bring in more jobs, but my question to you is, can they guarantee that the jobs that we will be risking will be more than the jobs that they bring in, right? We know that the quality of jobs that Walmart brings in isn't that great already in the first place. So is Chinatown, in fact, going to be better, right? The ICO is a 6 to 18-month interim ordinance. It's a temporary solution to figure out what exactly will be the full impact. What is the rush? You know, Walmart's going to still want to be here. It's not going to be an opportunity that they want to miss, right? And a 6-month moratorium isn't going to slow the process down. Now, I realize that we are here at Plum and that it's a land use question that we need to address. And I also want to bring to your attention the fact that Walmart, in fact, was sued by the city of Anderson and the city of Bakersfield for 2 proposed retail developments where the cities basically sued because they felt that Walmart would bring in blight. And the courts sided with the cities because they saw that that was an adverse impact, and so they negated the environmental impact report that was originally created for those proposed projects. So what I ask for you, again, is what is going to be the impact of allowing Walmart to come in? It is 30 businesses that are gone, hundreds of jobs that are gone, history that's gone, but what happens if we wait 6 months? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Doug Arsenal, then we'll have Sally G.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Doug Arsenal of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, representing more than 370 businesses in the city that have created over 100,000 jobs. We respect the cultural integrity of our city, but this ICO ignores the needs of these communities. Only one mainstream supermarket and a few diversified general merchandise stores currently serve the residents of the downtown area, creating a food desert and limiting access to quality products. This ICO will halt all stores with the capacity to serve these needs, particularly as it is targeted at the Walmart neighborhood market, a project that would replace a blighted, vacant spot in Chinatown with a flourishing market that provides downtown residents with fresh groceries and middle-class jobs. Most troubling is that this ICO will set a precedent, telling large retailers that Los Angeles is not interested, that our city is closed for business, a message which will resonate to the San Fernando Valley and hinder our ability to thrive. Our city needs more investment, jobs, and opportunity, not limitations that will deprive Angelenos of their right to choice. We ask that you follow the Planning Commission's decision and staff recommendations to reject this ICO. Businesses need to know that they are welcome in our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sally G. George U. Sally G, please. It's okay, Sally. Take your time. Take your time.
I'm Sally G, and I'm going to read a letter from a local business owner. So, dear City Council members, I am a business owner, Annie Wong, and I support this proposed interim control ordinance ICO. It would require that the impact of large retail chain stores on Chinatown community be studied before they would be allowed to open a store. I am a business owner, and I have run a jewelry store since 1994 in Chinatown. This store supports my kids being able to go to college, pay for rent, and sustain a living. Please protect the small local businesses in Chinatown. Signed, Annie Wong, Kim Hung Jewelry Store. So, okay, I'm speak for myself. I'm Sally G, and I've lived in Chinatown all my life. I'm 18 years old, and I've seen the city, or the town change a lot. As I walk down Cesar Chavez Boulevard, where Walmart's going to be opened, it doesn't feel like Chinatown. The Orsini's open, there's a CVS. Every time I walk down there, there's like no sign of Chinatown in there. And when I go down to local markets on Hill Street, I finally get the feeling of community, of that sense that you belong somewhere where you can have a conversation with anyone, you can just connect to people and buy groceries and have experience that I probably would not have able to have if I didn't live in Chinatown as a Chinese American student. I really don't think that Walmart is the best solution to the vacant space in Cesar Chavez. I really think that it will hurt our community more than benefit it. And I would really like to preserve the cultural integrity of Chinatown, because I have not been to China. I've never experienced my ancestors' homelands, and living in Chinatown has really opened my eyes to what it could have been, and I don't really want to see it gone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good luck with that leg. George Yu. Then we'll have Du Hua, Huyah. Good day, sir.
Good afternoon, Councilman. I'd like to clarify the BID's support of the amended ICO. As originally drafted, it would have excluded all second stores of existing businesses in Chinatown, and I appreciate the efforts made to amend the ICO. It is unfortunate that this site has remained vacant for 21 years. With all due respect to the ICO supporters, can they honestly say that they do not shop at any other formerly used retails in their community? Yet they would ask that Chinatown residents and stakeholders not have the same opportunity that they enjoy in their neighborhood. In the 74-year history of New Chinatown, other than the banks, we have 2 non-Chinatown-based formerly used retails, 2 subways. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Dieu Huyah. Du Hua. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
Please give us your name.
My name is actually pronounced Yu Huin.
Yu Huin? Okay.
Yu Huin. And I'm going to be speaking on behalf of Leroy Liu, hardware store owner on Broadway. Dear City Council members, I'm a business owner in Chinatown since 1998. I'm currently open 7 days a week, as most Chinatown businesses are. This is because of the financial hardship that we are facing. Both my parents are living with me. If Walmart take majority of my customers, I'm afraid I would be forced to close down. This would be a financial burden, as I don't think I would be able to have the means to support them. I hope the city council member would understand my situation and help protect the small businesses and community of Chinatown. And personally, now I'm speaking for myself. Like I said, my name is Yu, and I'm a graduating senior from UCLA and a frequent customer of Chinatown small businesses. It is in my belief that if Walmart is to come in at Cesar Chavez and Grand, that they would bring in really bad, horrible traffic, which is no good, and the parking space would not be enough. This would dramatically influence the ability of patrons who would otherwise be going to the small businesses to support them. But instead, they will have to compete for, parking spots. And so, with that said, I would like to ask the council members to please support the ICO to give the community a voice and a means to have some sort of accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nikki Ang. We have Nikki Ang, then we have Tamara Chow. Good day.
Good afternoon, council members and committee members. My name is Nikki Young, Executive Director of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce of Los Angeles. Our office is on Broadway, right in Chinatown. We are also the producers of the very popular Golden Dragon Parade and Festival. We're doing our 114th year this year for the community. The ICU is unwarranted and sends a negative messages to all of our businesses. We believe this ICO will have a negative impact on Chinatown. The city of Los Angeles has the opportunity to persuade businesses to create opportunities and jobs. And we would like for you to embrace that and show other businesses that they are welcomed here in Los Angeles, and to give the businesses and residents in Chinatown a chance to have other opportunities to shop and places to go. I am in Chinatown 5 days a week, sometimes even more. I represent other organizations in Chinatown as well. So I'm there very often. But because there's not much around, I have to get outside of the community to do my shopping. So I would like to offer that chance for us to embrace the new businesses coming in and give them a chance to be able to help our economy grow. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Tamara Cho, and then Laura Zhang.
Hi, my name is Tanira Chow. I'm going to read a business letter from one of the beauty shop owners in Chinatown. Dear City Council Member, I am a business owner and I run a beauty supply accessory store in Chinatown since 2011. This store supports my kids and my livings and my family. The economy is bad right now and worse than ever before. If Walmart come to Chinatown, I don't know how economy going and to affect the entire small business Chinatown community. I strongly urge the city council members to protect the small local business and future for Chinatown. If Walmart come to Chinatown, it will hurt the small business. Please protect us and small business in Chinatown, please. And please pass the ICO interim control ordinance. Thank you for your helping. God bless. Sincerely, CNH Beauty Supply and Accessories. So my name is Tanira Chow, and I've been a resident of Chinatown for all my life. I'm 18 years old, and I'm about to go to college. I've seen Chinatown change over the past decade, from gentrification, the Orsini coming into Chinatown, the Gold Line being built in July 2003, the making of Chinatown to be more appealing to tourists by making the sidewalks painted with dragons, and to make the yearly zodiac signs and the banners on every pole in Chinatown, and the art galleries to come in and pretty much take our culture and use it to sell their art by using our pagoda signs in old Chinatown. Walmart is not welcome on Cesar Chavez and Grand. There's a lot of traffic congestion in that area already. The recent high school that has been built, the Burger King, the busiest Burger King in all of Los Angeles. Walmart has unethical labor practices that we do not at all support in Chinatown, and it will suck the life out of small businesses that are already suffering. I urge you to pass the ICO and help our community sustain its culture and community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Laura Zhang, and then Calvin Ho.
My name is Larry Zhang. I'm a fourth-generation Chinese American, a direct descendant of the founding fathers of New Chinatown. I also serve on the board of the Los Angeles Chinatown Corporation, which developed New Chinatown in 1938. My position is that we do not support the ICO. We rather have Chinatown decide whether Walmart will be good for us. And that we're willing to have them come in, make the investment, provide jobs, and we'll see how it works out for them. I doubt if they can compete against the many small Chinese businesses. Chinese businesses tend to be very efficient. Walmart has a larger overhead. So we will see, and we should let Chinatown decide for themselves whether Walmart should stay or not. I don't see that delaying it would be any benefit to us. It will only make their investment much harder. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Calvin Ho.
Good afternoon, council members.
Good afternoon.
I'm reading a statement from Terry Mai of Jenny Mai Fast Food on College Street in Chinatown. I am a business owner, and I have run a restaurant fast food since 2011 in Chinatown. My parents have had business here since 2004 in Chinatown. This store supports my parents and my siblings. This store enables my family to pay for rent, college, and to sustain a living. If Walmart drives away my store's business, and my store has to close down eventually, I will have to retire our business and my family will be without stability. It will be hard for my family to sustain a living. Please consider Chinatown and its people. Speaking on my own behalf, I'm a doctoral student in sociology at UCLA, and I study Chinatown and Chinese immigration to the U.S. in general. And I can point you to a huge literature showing how small businesses in ethnic enclaves, such as Chinatown, provide an important pathway to upward mobility for immigrants and their children, and how this effect goes on through the generations.
Thank you. Thank you. Amy Q. And then Diane Tan. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Amy Koo, and I'm an attorney at Schwartzstein, Superior, Dorman, and Somers. An ICO is meant to prevent harm. If we wait, we will not be able to backtrack and undo the damage already done. Just to name a couple of examples, ICOs were passed in the Oaks and Sunland. These ICOs were passed because, quote, interim measures are needed to prevent irreversible and incompatible development that would be inconsistent with the character of the neighborhood. Similarly, an ICO should be passed here. Furthermore, formula retail restrictions have been passed in cities such as Benicia, Calistoga, Coronado, and San Francisco, including San Francisco's Chinatown. The wrong standard was used in the staff report, proliferation. Nothing in the California Government Code, the City Charter, or the Central City North Community Plan requires a proliferation in order to adopt an ICO. Consistent with the Government Code, we are seeking to stop the use that conflicts with the community plan, and there is an immediate threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. The people of Chinatown have spoken out. The welfare of the local residents is presently being threatened by formula retail stores, which have been proven to decimate the livelihood of local small business owners. All we are asking for is a temporary moratorium. The staff report has indicated that little to no analysis has been done. Rather than disregard the ICO outright, we need to acknowledge that the people of Chinatown deserve a chance to use an ICO to immediately stop the threatened harm and give the city the time it needs to craft a well-thought-out ordinance to address the needs of this community. The ICO is absolutely necessary to effectuate the goals of the Central City North Community Plan. The stated goal of the Chinatown project area, in particular, is specifically to, quote, preserve Chinatown's unique and historic character. This goal is reiterated in the section entitled Neighborhood Character, and it's also reflected in the Land Use Policies Program's Goal Number 2 and Historic and Cultural Resources Goal Number 17. All of these goals and objectives reiterate the need to preserve the unique and historic character of Chinatown. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. Diane Tan, and then Jenny Chia.
Good afternoon, council members. I am Diane Tan, and I am involved with the Chinatown Community for Equitable Development. I am concerned about the health, welfare, and safety of the residents of Chinatown. I'm concerned about the devastation of small businesses in Chinatown. I basically grew up going to Chinatown. My dad actually lived in Chinatown when he was an early immigrant, and that was over, several decades ago. And I have actually worked in Chinatown when I was in high school, college, and after that, and I actually practiced law in Chinatown too. I've seen how Chinatown has grown and changed over the years, and I feel that that it's important to preserve the community and don't allow large box stores like Walmart to devastate the historical and cultural integrity and uniqueness of Chinatown. And there is an urgency because we don't want to have to undo the harm that's done after it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our last speaker is Jenny Chia, C-H-H-E-A. Again, I apologize for mispronouncing your names. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Jenny Chia. I'm here speaking on behalf of two businesses, DMCA Business and CNH Beauty Supply and Accessories. Dear City Council members, I am a business owner. I had a gift store since 1989. I don't want Walmart to open in Chinatown area because they will damage our business and historic culture in Chinatown if Walmart opens in Chinatown. That will be lost That would be loss of customer and tourists, and my business will be getting slow. So I want City Council to protect Chinatown and to protect the small businesses. Yours sincerely, Deng Van Chung. Okay. And then, dear City Council member, I am a business owner and I run a beauty supply accessory store in Chinatown since 2011. This store supports my kids and my family. The economy is bad right now and worse than before. If Walmart comes to Chinatown, I don't know how the economy will be going and to affect the entire small business Chinatown community. I strongly urge the City Council members to protect small local business and the future for Chinatown. If Walmart comes to Chinatown, it will hurt the small business. Please, protect us. And small businesses in Chinatown, please. And please pass the ICO. Thank you for helping. God bless. Sincerely, CNH Beauty Supply and Accessories. And I would wonder if I could give the letters to someone?
Yes, right here. The clerk, please.
And then can I speak on behalf for myself? Okay. So I don't want to see like big businesses like Walmart and Chinatown also, because they do take advantage of language barriers of immigrants such as my parents, and so they do pressure immigrant people to sign pro-Walmart petitions, and so that is why I personally would not want to see Walmart in Chinatown, and that's why I personally support the ICO. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And our last speaker, I think, is Craig Wong. Craig, just submit a card.
Hello, council members. My name is Craig Wong. I'd like to read a couple of letters from merchants in Chinatown. The first one is from Hang Song Long. It's a shop on Chungking Road. I'm a business owner, Larry Lee, and I support the proposed interim control ordinance, ICO, that would require that the impacts of large retail chain stores on the Chinatown community be studied before they would be allowed to open a store. The issue of Walmart coming to Chinatown personally matters to me because Walmart affects the Chinatown community. Other companies will be forced out of business. If many companies close down in Chinatown, there will be less visitors and other businesses will go down. Also, I want to preserve the historical Chinese culture in Chinatown. My store is open since 1949. Sincerely, Larry Lee. The second letter is from MC Marketplace. It's on Ord Street, and Carmen writes, and I hope I can read her handwriting. I am the owner of a store selling household products in Chinatown. I'm afraid Walmart will sell a variety of products, which include household products that would affect our business. On the other hand, if Walmart is successful, the large enterprise other large enterprises will open in Chinatown to share the profit. It will raise the rent in Chinatown, which is a most significant cost for a business. Besides, it will change the structure of Chinatown, which most of the stores are small family-like businesses. And it's signed by Carmen. And speaking for myself, I used to be a resident of Chinatown. I've since moved out of Chinatown, but I still go back to Chinatown because that's where my friends are, that's where the stores are that I like to shop at. Those are where my community and my family is at. So I think I would like to pass the ICO and maintain the integrity of Chinatown. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be closing public comment. There's more information I need to seek and evaluate, so I'll continue this item for next week. So I will be closing public comment and continue this discussion next week. Okay, Roberto, what's next?
The next item, Councilman, is a Cultural Heritage Commission report. It's providing general comments to the state relative to the proposed listing of the California Aerospace Museum in the list that the state would consider this as a historic resource, and it's located in CD9.
Item 7.
Good afternoon, committee members. Lambert Giesinger with the Planning Department. In 2007, with council support, the City of Los Angeles was awarded certified local government status for historic preservation by the State Office of Historic Preservation. And one of our duties as a certified local government is to make comments on nominations to the California Register and the National Register. So this application has come before us, and the Cultural Heritage Commission reviewed the application and the property and is recommending that the council support the nomination to the State Office of Historic Preservation. And it is my understanding from the applicant that this item is scheduled for the State Commission's review on November 9th. And I know the applicant is here if there are any questions about the nomination, and there may be other speakers.
Yes, we do have a few cards on this. So we have Isla Medella, you do have 2 other speaker cards. You'd like to speak last? That's the representative from the council office. Would you like to speak last or first? It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
I actually had to step away. My name is Stephanie Magnian, representing Council District 9. Regarding the city's resolution providing comments to the state's consideration of including the California Aerospace Museum on the Register of Historic Resources, the councilwoman agrees that the cultural
Stephanie, would you mind reading into the microphone? That way we can hear you better.
The councilwoman agrees with the Cultural Heritage Commission's recommended resolution. However, due to concerns raised by the California Science Center, she requests that the committee amend the resolution to include language requesting that an engineering study of the building be conducted before the state makes its final decision. The California Science Center is concerned particularly with the F-104 plane mounted outside the museum. They believe it may have structural issues and would like the opportunity for research to be done before the designation is made. So thank you for your
So the revisions were included?
Yes.
Yes, the CLA prepared a revised resolution, Councilman, and the language that the councilwoman wanted has been inserted as far as the engineering study.
Okay. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
We have Teresa Grimes and Kenneth Phillips. Like to come on up? Hi.
Hi, my name is Teresa Grimes. I'm with Galvin Preservation Associates. We prepared the application on behalf of Kelly Sutherland McLeod. We believe that the building is eligible for listing in the California Register because it was a turning point in Gary's career, not only professionally but aesthetically. It was his first public building that really brought him national and international acclaim, and the reason why he's went on to become a kind of a household name. We don't believe that there's any purpose in postponing the processing in the application, because certainly even if the building were designated in the California Register, that certainly wouldn't preclude them from doing any kind of engineering studies or even making alterations to the building. I'm available to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much. And Kenneth Phillips.
Yes, good morning. Good afternoon, council members. My name is Ken Phillips, and I'm the curator for aerospace science programs at the California Science Center. I've been there for 22 years as curator for the Geary structure, and wanted to point out that the Science Center is not taking a position on the efficacy of this proposal. We don't oppose it, but we would like very much, as the councilwoman had said before, to have an opportunity to do a detailed structural analysis. We just are concerned that some kind of an approval might prevent us from removing the aircraft if in fact that's something that we think needs to be done. We've done some preliminary corrosion studies of the leading edges of the wings of the aircraft. It's probably about time that it be removed from the structure anyway, so we want to make sure that we don't have opposition to that effect. So
my assumptions are that there is a conversation with the council office regarding your concerns?
Yes, as indicated by, I guess, the letter that was just indicated. We have not, by the way, had an opportunity to discuss this with those who have brought forward the proposal, which is not necessarily a problem, but one might have thought that they would have maybe contacted us.
Well, we could take action today, and you would have time between now and the council meeting, and I'm sure Stephanie would facilitate if there are any more conversations that need to occur. You can do it in that time frame, and the council member will have the flexibility to make any adjustments if she's so deemed and desired.
That's fine.
Okay?
Yeah. As long as we have the opportunity to do what we think is appropriate for the public
Okay.
Matter of safety, we're great with that.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps.
Thank you.
All right, so we could, this is a long directive here. We could approve the Cultural Heritage Commission request to provide general comments of the California State Office of Historic Preservation relative to the proposed listing of the California Aerospace Museum, the California Register of Historical Resources, and adopt the attached revised resolution by Council District 9, Councilman Perry, and the revised resolution be submitted at
Yes, the clerk has the revised resolution with the engineering language, Council.
Okay, so that'd be the action of this committee, if it's okay, Councilmember? All right. So that's our action. And next item, Roberto.
The next item, council members, is an appeal by various neighbors in the Walnut Acres neighborhood. It has to do with an approval by the zoning administrator of an elder care facility in CD3, and this was brought to you via a 245 motion by Councilman Zhang.
Wow, this is the item that has the most cards. Pretty good weight here. All right. Please.
Good afternoon, committee members. Fernando Tovar on behalf of Charlie Lee Rouse, the zoning administrator on this particular case. As mentioned, the case before you today is an appeal filed by several aggrieved neighbors surrounding the site located at 6221 Fallbrook Avenue of the zoning administrator's determination for the approval of an elder care facility, which is located at the northwest corner of Fallbrook Avenue and Irwin Street. And pursuant to the city's elder care provisions, the ZA may permit an elder care facility to be located on a lot in the A1 through R3 zones, as well as other multifamily zones and in all C zones when an elder care facility does not meet the use area or height provisions of the respective code in which it is located, subject to 6 findings. All of those findings were made in the affirmative. The site is also subject to site plan review approval, which requires a separate set of 6 findings. And again, all 12 findings were made in the affirmative by the zoning administrator. In connection with the approval, the zoning administrator also granted relief from the density and floor area limitations of the RA zone, as permitted pursuant to the elder care provisions. In this case, the RA zone would limit the maximum floor area on the site to 12,600 square feet, and would limit density on this unsubdivided lot to 1 or a maximum of 2 dwelling units. The facility consists of 50,000 square feet with 60 guest rooms and 76 beds. Other than the relief granted with respect to the density in the lot area, the facility is in conformance to all of the provisions of the RA zone, including height, area, setbacks, and to all of the parking provisions of the municipal code. I do want to point out, it's important to note that 75% of this facility will be devoted to assisted living for persons who are 62 and older who must require assistance with at least 2 non-medical needs in order to be eligible for residency in the facility. The remaining 25% will be devoted to persons afflicted with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I'm going to, as quickly as possible, just walk through the various points that support the findings that were made by the zoning administrator. Number 1 is the site's location, and I'm going to work without any exhibits, and if you have any questions, I can go into any...
Do you want to just point to one to make sure it's clear what you want to do?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be helpful.
Let's just bring one out. To illustrate his points.
I'll start with this one. Okay. If you can see from there, council members, here's the subject site on the northwest corner of Fallbrook Avenue and Irwin Street. Irwin Street is a local residential street that is zoned RA. Fallbrook Avenue is a major highway that consists of 4 traffic lanes with 1 center lane and a parking lane on each side, so you're talking about a pretty wide highway. Victory Boulevard is located just 2 blocks to the north and is a major commercial corridor with adequate shopping services, pharmacies, and supermarkets located in close proximity to the site. What the map does not show is that about 2 blocks south of this is Oxnard Avenue, which runs parallel to Victory Boulevard and crosses Fallbrook. And for about 1 or 2 blocks north and south of the site, you do have RA zone lots. Some of the uses along Fallbrook, a couple of uses, I should say, are non-residential uses, such as another site similar to the same size as the subject site, which is improved with a church and a large surface parking area. It's also about a 65,000 square foot site. Another site, not as large, but nevertheless relatively large, contains a daycare. So you do have RA zone properties on Fallbrook Avenue. The ones that are directly east of the site are substandard. They don't really conform to the minimum size of 17,500 square feet. But as you move west of the site, those lots are more conforming typical RA zone lots that meet the minimum lot size. I just want to provide you a little context there. So again, given the site's location on a major highway, that was a major criteria that was considered by the zoning administrator and deemed it to be an appropriate location given the site, the size of the facility in proximity to services. Beyond that, with respect to the site plan, and I don't know if you have a site plan that I can maybe rely on. Thank you. Thank you. I think what you're seeing there is the orange is the footprint of the building, and basically the placement and orientation of the buildings is such that the facility is oriented toward Fallbrook and provides adequate buffers from the adjoining residential uses. You got the parking lot right here.
Just if you take the microphone with you.
Yeah. Fronting on Fallbrook. Vehicular access is strictly limited to Fallbrook Avenue via this two-way driveway. There is a second driveway that comes off onto Irwin Street, but that driveway is limited to emergency access only. So you will not have any egress on Irwin Street and no access on Irwin Street. Beyond that, the site is designed around what I would call 3 courtyards, and the mass of the building is broken up into several components. You've got the main entrance here, and you've got some guest rooms, but this center area here contains the lobby, offices, and other common areas. The bulk of the guest rooms are located in, I'm going to call them 2 wings each, but they're 2 floors, so there's a total of 4 wings on each of these, and it's kind of like an L shape that comes away from the main building. You've got 1 courtyard here, 1 courtyard here, 1 courtyard here, and I think the minimum dimensions are about 40 feet across. You've got a 25-foot landscape setback that separates the rear of the site from the adjoining single-family dwelling to the west. Up here you have approximately 11-foot setback with another courtyard here. And so essentially the single-family dwelling that's located on this side would be not only 25 feet, well, this building would be 25 feet from the property line. That building is approximately 25 feet from the side lot line on its own lot. And when you take a look at the mass of the building here, it's not really that significantly different than if this site was to be subdivided with single-family lots, that you would probably have a 2-story single-family dwelling here. So again, I think that just visually you can see the green, you can see the buffers. This is an alley that terminates behind the site. All of the lots that are located north of the site that front on Fallbrook Avenue take their access through this rear alley. There are no driveways or curb cuts on Fallbrook Avenue. So any access into and out of the site would not conflict with vehicular access to the single-family lots north of the site. And beyond that, I think that paints the picture that I wanted to make for now. Thank you.
Okay. Now, in terms of height, the structure itself, in character, is it compatible to the heights of the surrounding structures?
Here, the RA zone allows a maximum height of 36 feet.
The zone itself allows for 36 feet.
That's correct. They are not seeking any deviation from the allowable height. The maximum height of the building does reach 36 feet in portions of the building. Because of the way you saw that the building is broken up and goes in different directions, there's various roof lines that, as the building turns, roof lines change as well. And so where the main entrance to the building is, the building will reach a height, and it's the pitch, the ridge line of the roof will reach 36 feet, and I think there's an architectural projection that will reach 36 feet. From that point, the height of the building tapers down as it moves towards the perimeter of the building, closer to the residential lots to the north and to the west, as well as along Irwin Street. So the actual roof plate, the top of the second story where the horizontal roof plate is probably in the neighborhood of about 29 feet. So again, the example that I was trying to illustrate is that if this lot was subdivided into 4 or 5 single-family lots, the setbacks, what is the current rear yard would become a side yard, and what is currently, I guess, a side yard would still stay a side yard on the north side, adjacent to Fallbrook. The parking lot that you saw is what directly abuts, that was the point that I was going to make. The parking lot that, for the site, the front of the building is set back about more than 70 feet. So the one dwelling that fronts on Fallbrook is not directly next to the building. That dwelling will be next to the surface parking lot. Then, so there's a total of 3 single-family lots that the site abuts. The third lot would be in the middle, that fronts on Stiles Avenue on the interior subdivision, and it abuts the rear lot line of that lot. So again, from the zoning administrator's perspective, with the design going in different directions and with the design tapering down, it does not exceed 36 feet. In the absence of any standards that we would be able to rely on to restrict the height further, we really found that there was no basis, and given the setbacks that are provided, that the setbacks in the landscaping are generous enough that there should be no issues with privacy. There's no balconies on the second floor. The applicant did revise the project after the initial hearing and reduce the number of windows on the second floor. So again, and the conditions of approval require screening with mature trees to be planted and staggered more or less where the windows are in order to kind of respect the privacy of the adjacent single-family dwellings.
So mature trees should buffer whatever sight lines might exist with the setbacks, one being 75 in the front, 25 in the back, and 11 on the sides.
In staff's opinion, yes, it should be adequate to buffer.
Okay.
To provide an adequate buffer.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add? Anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, let's see. Beyond that, what I did want to point out is that even though the facility will consist of 50,000 square feet, maximum lot coverage would only be less than 40%. So as you saw, 60%, more than 60% of the site will remain open to the sky. If it's not courtyards or landscape setbacks or walkways, it's the surface parking lot. Beyond that, given the special needs of the population to be served, about 42% of the facility's total floor area is devoted to support services and common areas and on-site amenities that include kitchens, family rooms, dining rooms, and what have you. I do want to talk about traffic, as I think that's a critical issue, and parking as well. There was a traffic assessment conducted for the project, and it was determined that the average daily number of peak hour AM trips would be 11, and the average PM peak hour trips would be 17, which is well below the Department of Transportation's threshold of 43 peak hour trips to require a traffic study. More importantly, the site was previously occupied by a school, and the trips generated by that school were not included in the analysis as could have been done in order to determine the worst case scenario. According to the Department of Transportation, had the trips associated with the school been included, the number of trips generated would have resulted in a net negative. And so basically you can expect that there should be fewer peak hour trips expected in connection with the elder care facility than there was with the former school on the site. Beyond that, with respect to parking, that's been a contentious issue as well. The facility will be licensed by the state, and state regulations do not establish any staff to resident ratios. That is strictly left up to the operator. According to the operator, they will have a maximum of 20 employees on staggered shifts, and that would mean with, I think, a maximum of 10 employees at peak shift. And in establishing the parking ratios for the various types of elder care facilities, the parking requirements take into account residents, visitors, and staff. And clearly the staff report that recommended approval of the elder care facility addressed parking in quite a bit of detail and indicates that these types of facilities don't generate a great parking demand, and the parking ratios that are established are based on studies that have been conducted for these types of facilities. More importantly, again, and as that staff report for the elder care ordinance pointed out, residents are not likely to drive given their age and given their physical limitations. As already noted, 75% of the facility is for assisted living and the other 25% for persons with Alzheimer's or dementia, so it's not expected that many of the residents will be actually driving. So in response to the question about the height, in the absence of any site-specific zoning restrictions or any specific standards that address the height or size of the facility, there's really no basis to either deny the facility or to restrict or limit the facility to a lower height to only 1 story, or without being arbitrary or capricious. So together with the conditions that have been attached to the grant, which address landscaping, setbacks, screening, commercial deliveries, and the prohibition of 18-wheel trucks, there is really no tangible evidence to conclude that the facility would generate any adverse traffic impacts or significant spillover parking impacts, or would in any way be materially detrimental or injurious to surrounding improvements. I'm not going to get into animal keeping uses. That's one of the concerns that's been raised, but I'm available for questions concerning that if that comes up, or concerning any other questions. Thank you. And based on that, staff recommends denial of the appeal and that the committee adopt the findings and conditions of the zoning administrator's determination letter dated May 2nd, 2012.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tovar. Any question, Mr. Tovar? Okay. All right, I'm going through the cards, and I'd like to do is hear from the appellants first, the reason for your appeal. So I'm going through the cards.
The main appellant representative is Mrs. Schul.
Okay.
And she's the one that's going to have 10 minutes.
Okay, so Ms. Donna Schul, I understand you have, what we did in this public hearing is divided 10 minutes for the project and 10 minutes against the project. So opposing the project, I understand that Donna Schul will be speaking on behalf. Please come on up. 10 minutes, and my understanding you'll be taking the 10 minutes, Ms. Schul?
Yeah, I'm a bit confused on this. We have a number of people that want to speak, sort of public comment. Is that included in the 10 minutes? You have a number of speaker cards there.
Right, so what I'm doing is I'm setting aside public comment, dividing it 10 minutes one side, 10 minutes the other. So I'm giving 10 minutes to those who are opposing the project. So you can speak for 1 minute, you can speak for 5 minutes, but I'm allowing the 10 minutes. There's a whole stack of cards here, you're absolutely right. So the less you speak, the more they speak of the 10 minutes. So, whoa. Okay.
So,
just a minute. Well, we can stay here all afternoon. Well, let's do this. Ms. Schul, let's have the people line up behind Ms. Schul that wants to speak. And Ms. Schul, be cognizant you have people behind you who would like to speak. I'm limiting the public comment for one side for 10 minutes. Okay? So those who want to speak within those 10 minutes. It's pretty clear.
well, okay, we have, could those of you raise your hand who submitted speaker cards and are here to speak in opposition to the project?
No, I could see the stack.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again.
Yeah, Mr. Garfinkel said there was quite a few people who spoke on the Chinatown project.
Okay.
And I think they were given 2 minutes apiece.
So let's go with the 15 minutes on each side. So why don't you start?
Okay. This seems very different than the way the Chinatown project was handled here.
Okay. Mitchell, people would like to speak with Ms. Schul. Please come on, line up behind Ms. Schul. You'd like to speak?
And
this is opposing the project.
Okay. Is there a reason why the process here is going to be different than the Chinatown process?
I'm just limiting the time and giving everyone ample time.
Why? That's what we're asking. Why?
It's the same amount of time, ma'am.
But why is the process going to be different than the Chinatown process?
It's the same amount of time. We just said
all
we did was separate opposing and support. That's all I did. That's the only difference.
They were given 15 minutes total?
I did not calculate the time specifically.
Pardon me?
I did not calculate each time.
Okay, so this process will be different than the Chinatown process?
No, it's not different. It's the same as a public hearing. You're giving their time to speak.
Okay, they were given 15 minutes total?
I don't know.
Okay, then, but how can you say that it's going to be the same process?
You're taking up the time now. Please speak.
Okay.
We'll start all over again on the 15.
Okay, well, then for the record, I would have to say that the process that has been laid out here is a violation of the due process of our neighbors. We have quite a few people that came down to council
Ma'am, can you take up your time? Please
choosing to use my time this way.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay? And we have a lot of people who came down here to speak, and it does not look like they will be able to speak, unlike the people who came for the Chinatown project. As you've seen, many people are here in opposition to this project. First of all, we do not believe that this project is proper, this issue is properly before the City Council or the Plum Committee. First of all, the master land use permit application is defective. The application has not provided sufficient documentation in order for the person who was listed on the application to qualify as the owner. There is a letter in the file post-dated from the master land use application. Thus, at the point where the application was submitted, the person who claimed to be the owner had no documentation in the file that indicated that they were the owner. A letter from the alleged owners in the file later on is not sufficient. There is no there's no deed submitted in the file to determine who is the owner. The letter is not notarized. There's no terms of escrow provided. There's no dates of escrow stated. And the date, and as I said, there's a problem with the date the application was submitted and this supposed letter in the file regarding ownership. So there is no documentation whatsoever of ownership in the file, and we have people that are claiming to be the owners and claiming to seek entitlement on this property. Second of all, the master land use permit application is perjured. The document is signed under penalty of perjury. Quote, the information presented is true and correct to the best of my knowledge, end quote, signed by a Dan Chandler. The documentation requires that the project description check all that apply, and there's a number of boxes to be checked. Mr. Chandler failed to check that this is a commercial project. Mr. Chandler did check that this is a residential project. This does not qualify as a residential project as defined for the master land use permit application. It is no more residential than other, such as a hotel, a campground, things like that, where yes, indeed, people are living on the property, but this is a commercial for-profit project. Furthermore, the document fails to indicate that there is one existing residential unit on the property and fails to indicate that that unit will be demolished. This document is defective.
Then why don't you let the experts have their turn, please?
Pardon me?
Finish your comments so we can get the next person, just like we did with the Chinatown community.
Okay.
We gave each one 2 minutes, so why don't you finish so that the next speaker can speak. Next speaker.
Well, I guess I'm one of these community opponents that showed up in the Saturday paper, the news press. I'm just addressing one of the many things. We don't have much time. Finding number 2, which was basically that there's no current demand in the relevant area or even citywide for the expensive elder care services. There's no demand. The developers showed no demand. Basically, he only quoted that a baby boom generation is coming. We all know that, but we also know that within 200 feet of this proposed facility, there is one. Within 2 miles, there are 50 elder care facilities. The costs are $3,000 to $6,000 with this economy. How are they going to be filled? And most importantly of all, this proposed facility will probably be not viable with these costs. So perhaps the most likely true purpose of this backdoor use of the elder care facility exception to normal zoning is to get into the middle of a neighborhood an empty institutional structure that will require a zoning change to commercial use, not what is being presented or purported. This is a Trojan horse to drive a wedge into our neighborhood.
Thank you,
I think the developers know it.
Thank you. Next speaker. Please come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Robin Goodhart. I have so much to say, but I'm just going to limit it to the fact that there will be insufficient parking. Among many other things, the statistics show that you're not just going to have somebody, an elderly person staying there alone. They have to have assistance. There's just not, with 30 parking places, it will be insufficient. The parking will spill over onto Irwin and to the surrounding area. And the institution is just much too massive for the neighborhood in which it purports to serve. Fallbrook Avenue cannot be taken in a vacuum. It has to be, you have to consider the adjoining neighbors around it. So I beg you to please look at the facts that the Planning Commission went over very carefully and think about the homeowners in the area whose quality of life will suffer because of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Is your name and address?
Hi, my name is Ruth Fieldman, 22844 Stiles Street, Woodland Hills, and obviously I'm a senior living in that area. I will be a very unhappy one if this thing is built. I have visited because I have friends living in the village in Northridge, the village in Sherman Oaks, the Belmont on the Wilshire Corridor, the University in Thousand Oaks, and the Monarch in Tarzana. None of them back residential homes. They are all either on commercial property or they are on property that is surrounded by condos and apartments. And when I visited them, the parking that they have allowed you is not enough parking at any of these places. And some of them even have valet parking and underground parking because the parking facilities are terrible no matter what. Because one thing you're all forgetting is that these people, it's assisted living. They need assistance. They cannot go with what, 2 or 3 people at night to take care of them? No, they're dementia, they're Alzheimer's, they're physically handicapped. That's why they're there. They need caregivers.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
I'm David Garfinkel, president of the Tarzana Property Owners Association. We're here because of the precedence of this proposed facility. I've sent in a very detailed letter and emailed to each of you, but I'll just hit a couple of key points. You must, and the zoning administrator must conform to the code in order to grant this. 2 pieces of that code. One is section 12 of the code, which limits the floor area ratio based on the Banchanization ordinance. According to section 12, the floor area could be less than 1/3 of that proposed. Even if you grant the bonus for articulation, which is in the code, then it's still under 1/3 of the amount proposed. The second is...
Thank you, sir. Those are 2 minutes. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I have 6 minutes and 52 seconds left on there.
Next speaker.
No.
Let's turn off the mic. So you have 2 minutes, please. Next speaker.
I didn't take 2 minutes.
Yes, I'm looking at the clock. It was 2 minutes, please. Next speaker.
No. I didn't take 2 minutes. I want to finish my statement. I'll stay within the 2 minutes.
Everybody 2 minutes like any other public comment process, please. 2 minutes. You were done. Next speaker.
This is illegal.
Let's go ahead.
To take a position here. I was much less than 2 minutes, less than 1 minute.
First of all, I just want to know, can you? The clock was running the whole time.
Okay, I understand the confusion. Every person is getting 2 minutes. That's what I'm looking at the clock. I'm trying to give everyone a chance to speak. What I was trying to avoid is having one speaker take 8 minutes, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and then take away from the others to speak. That's where the confusion is lying. So I'm looking at the clock, and I'm looking at 2 minutes for every speaker. So out of courtesy to you, I'm trying to give you each 2 minutes. I wanted to start off with the 2 blocks of time. Obviously, it didn't work because I don't want it to be seen like I'm not giving you your time. So to be very clear, Madam Clerk, set the clock at 2 minutes each, and let's just go down the line, and you will be heard. Okay? So everyone is getting their 2 minutes. So please, start, ma'am.
So basically, I'm not doing my reading because everyone was getting about 30 seconds, unlike the China hearing.
That's
I
not
heard a
true,
girl
ma'am.
go on.
That's
reading
not
it
true.
over. Anyway, I'm just a parent in the neighborhood trying to raise my family here, and this is a residential area, and I just want to, no one's paying any attention. This is not a perfect location. I've been to all the meetings throughout the whole year. They claim they've been doing this for 25 years, and they are experts at this. Can I start when people are listening? Everybody's listening
Yes, just
talking.
please go. Okay, keep going. Just let her speak. Just finish. I'm
Does
listening.
anyone hear a word I said?
I'm listening. Please.
Thank you. I'm a parent in the neighborhood raising my family here, and this building does not belong here. They say they are experts in what they do, and they are. It's a beautiful building, huge, gorgeous. It looks like it belongs in Beverly Hills, not our neighborhood. It is not characteristic to one single thing in our neighborhood. It is massive side. They have no alley. They have no side outlet. Every delivery is going to be coming from the front. They're already going to be obstructing Fallbrook Avenue and view and blocking with trucks. They're saying they have 6 to 11 deliveries per hour throughout the whole day. That means you gotta have these perfectly incrementized into coming into the lot, delivering, big load, unload the truck and let them out of there. That's not going to happen. I have teenage daughters driving. The view's already obstructed. This will bring our property values down. I already backed the Pride Center, and our values, we're told, have gone down 10 to 15% because we backed the Pride Center, and I will tell you I'm behind those businesses. They promised everything under the moon and the sun just like they did. They're going to plant trees. They're going to keep noise down. They're going to keep the deliveries down. That's not true. The gates are always open. The deliveries come when they're not supposed to. The garbage comes when it's not supposed to. There's noise. There's running trucks. There's lighting. And they never put in the trees as they've promised. Please keep this neighborhood safe. As you can see in here, the other businesses have 103 parking spots.
Thank you,
And the
ma'am.
other one has 50.
Thank you very
Their
much.
lots are this huge. They're on
Thank
a
you, ma'am.
residential lot. putting
Thank
in
you
a
very
massive
much.
thing.
Please give us your name and address, please.
I'm Betty Salverson, live on Irwin, 50 feet from said property. Charlie and I are 89 and 90 years young. We still drive, very active. We are not the only ones affected. There are 5 houses that rim the other 3 backsides. Fallbrook has changed an awful lot since 1958 when we moved in. 54 years of maintaining that, but has stayed a lovely area. We are fortunate to have a large RA lot still, feel like we live in the country. Think hard and clear about what you would want something like this in your neighborhood or next to you. Our neighbors have worked long and hard, many meetings to present our case. Please hear us out. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker.
Hi. My name is Jennifer Bensi, and I live at 22909 Sylvan Street. And on August 2nd in the Daily News, Dennis Zhang said, and I quote, "I've always put my constituents' concerns first. However, in this matter, I happen to disagree wholeheartedly." Dennis Zhang's constituents, including myself, have written numerous letters, emails, in opposition of the construction of the elder care facility at 6221 Fallbrook Avenue. And in fact, on June 28th, approximately 40 of us appeared before the Planning Commission to voice our opposition to the proposed project. As a result, the Commission voted 4-1, granting the appeal that overturned the ZA's determination regarding the project. Then, within days of the determination mailing on July 23rd, we were shocked to learn that Councilman Zhang had bypassed committee consideration to gain immediate approval from the City Council. And again, on July 31st, Councilman Zhang's constituents appeared before the City Council in opposition of the massive elder care facilities. Yet despite all of our letters, emails, our personal testimonies, our councilman chose not only to ignore our concerns, but completely disregarded the commissioner's ruling and the LA Municipal Code by asserting jurisdiction over this matter. Councilman Zhang has decided that he knows what's best for us, when in fact we know what's best for our community. He's not coming in and out of the neighborhood, he's not driving past the facility, he's not going past Irwin. So once again, our group has banded together with letters, emails, and our personal testimonies today to ask the committee to recommend the City Council to listen to our voices for the surrounding community and do the right thing and do not approve this inappropriate project.
Thank you very much. Next speaker. Give your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Colleen Marmor. I live at 4600 San Feliciano Drive, Woodland Hills. I'm a former neighborhood council member, just finished my 2-year term a couple of months ago. Today I'm here on behalf of Save Oak Savannah, one of many organizations in Woodland Hills that speaks out for community rights. We were founded in 2005, and since that time, I have boned up on my land use laws. When the South Valley Planning Commission heard the appeal on the Tarzana Elder Care Project, it was a case of first impression then. Precedent was set and the right decision was made by applying the laws to the facts. This Fallbrook project also fails to qualify under the Elder Care Ordinance. In fact, this project is offered up in anticipation of obtaining approval, a condition the applicant has imposed upon himself. This Elder Care Ordinance is not unlike a variance. It is an enabling ordinance and it requires certain findings to be approved. We believe the ZA had erred and his decision does not reflect proper use of his discretion. The applicant's project should have been denied because the conditions creating the need for the approval are self-imposed. California law supports this position of the appellants. In the case of Minnie, M-I-N-N-E-Y versus Azusa, they set forth that a ZA may deny the application if the conditions creating the need for approval were self-imposed. The Elder Care Ordinance sets forth that if the project proposal cannot meet even one of the 5 findings, by law it must be denied. This committee and the City Council, by extension, have to make the findings that are required under the ordinance, and it has to be based upon evidentiary support. Conclusions are not evidence. We ask that you please follow the law and the purpose of the ordinance, which was to develop standards and improve processes. It is not a speed pass for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker. Is your name and address, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Becker. I live on 22952 Oxnard Street, Woodland Hills, 33-year resident and owner. A lot has been said that I was going to say, so I shall cut to the chase here, where it was discussed that there is no urgent need for additional elder care in this particular area. Even if there were some demand for an ultra-expensive facility of the type proposed here, there is no indication that the developer is in a position to have a viable enterprise. The developer admits that it has never built an elder facility care center. In addition, the developer has stated that it intends to maintain a significant interest in the operation of the enterprise. However, not only does this developer have no experience in the construction of elder care facilities, it has no experience in operating them. It is not reasonable to think that residents or residents' families would do business with such an inexperienced operator. Additionally, there is no indication that this applicant actually intends to build an elder care facility on subject property. The project seems to be turning on itself because the property subject to this particular subject is not even large enough for the developer to put forth a viable business. There's no reason to believe that the applicant is merely, or there is reason to believe that the applicant is merely speculating with the subject property, seeking the requested entitlements in order to turn around and sell a property at a profit. Walnut Acres, like many areas of the valley, has already been hard hit by such speculators, leaving property so encumbered that it is not sellable in the current market. Should that happen to this project, the surrounding area would significantly be injured. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, give us your name and address, please.
My name is Joyce Fletcher. I live at 22123 Independencia Street, Woodland Hills. I am the secretary of the Woodland Hills Warner Center Neighborhood Council, and I'm a member of the Plum Committee. This letter is not meant to reflect the opinions of the entire council, nor the entire Plum Committee. I served on the ad hoc committee that reviewed and researched this case and heard both the neighborhood and applicant presentations on many occasions since November of 2011. Often as many as 62 homeowners from Walnut Acres attended these meetings, and they expressed intelligent, well-written opposition to this elder care facility. The only conclusion I could reach was to oppose this project for the same reasons that had been determined by the commissioners at South Valley Planning. It's an overbuilt, massive commercial building in the middle of a beautiful, viable residential neighborhood. The scope, the density, and the scale of the proposed facility is inappropriate for the neighborhood. It will change the character of the neighborhood, and the entire design creates a negative impact on the community. It is also much denser and much larger than any other commercial buildings in the area, who now consist of neighborhood churches, small daycare centers, and small retail stores. I oppose this project, as does many other members of the Woodland Hills Winter Center Neighborhood Council, and I ask you to please join the Walnut Acres homeowners and the South Valley Planning Commissioners in saying no to this project. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Mohammed Tat. I live on 22831 Erwin Street, Woodland Hills. My house is adjacent to this property on the west side. Although ZS said that they are reducing the number of windows on the property, there is still going to be more than a dozen windows facing my property. They look into the backyard, into my bedroom, living room, family room, everywhere they can take a look inside. Also, the Alzheimer patients and dementia patients, it is a known fact that they are not very quiet patients. They cause disturbances, they get violent, they get very loud, and since they don't have any sense of time, it could happen right in the middle of the night. Now they are planning to house those patients feet away from my bedroom. I don't understand why ZA would go and approve such a plan. Furthermore, there is so much talk about Fallbrook being a very busy highway. The fact is, the other three sides of this property goes deep inside the residential area, surrounded by all houses from the north, west, and the other side of the Erwin Street that are all houses. This building has all windows looking into every house. This is a totally out of character with the neighborhood, this project. The projects are not meeting the findings that are required for getting the approval, mainly condition number 1, 3, and 4. This is a huge two-story building on a small piece of land. It is surrounded by residential properties with common property lines. The project does not provide enough parking, which causes traffic problems. There is no guarantee that the visitors or the employees are not going to park on Erwin. Although, they're not going to be sending the inspectors every day to check if anybody parked there or not. Once they do that, they're going to cause problems for all the neighborhoods. Also, the height of this building, no other two-story building in our neighborhood is reaching 27 or 29 or at some point 36 feet high, which makes it very awkward building into this neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please give us your name and address.
Hi, Council. My name is John Smolarski. I live at 22857 Irwin Street. It's a property that's 3 houses away on the west side from the proposed project. I live, one of the unique natures of Walnut Acres is the large size of the lots. That's specifically why I purchased there. 4/10 of an acre is my property. Across the street are 8/10 of an acre properties. One of the things that was brought to light during the various meetings we had was the animal rights issue, and the fact that that's one of the reasons why I brought in the area was people had animals in their larger lots, and the fact that the ZA concluded that animal rights would not be constrained was shocking. And it's the fact that that's part of the value. That's part of the reason I purchased in this area was the large lots and the ability that people keep animals on their properties. When the San Fernando Valley Area Planning Commission reviewed reviewed the case, and we won our appeal in that jurisdiction, they correctly concluded that the ZA erred in determining that animal keeping rights would not be degraded by the proposed massive project, and instead found that the animal keeping rights would be injurious to us because of the size of the property, and therefore detrimental to our property values. So I'm just shocked by the size of this project. It has no place in Walnut Acres. It's so hard to protect areas of our size with acreage that I have 2 small kids, 5 and under, and it's just a shame to see what they're trying to put in this area of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please give us your name and address. Good afternoon.
My name is John, excuse me, John Sundahl, and I live at 22843 Irwin Street, Walnut Acres. I'm 2 doors away from the proposed project. One of my large concerns is the fact that the way it is laid out, it will not be able to adequately handle deliveries safely and quietly due to the lack of parking space, turning area, the fact that there are going to be a lot more automobiles than they have laid out in the beginning. We have visited a number of facilities, and there are a lot more cars parking there than have been allowed here. There'll be a constant cacophony of the trucks backing up, which are quite loud, as you all know, and they'll be coming daily for hours. The food trucks, the laundry trucks, the trash trucks, the various people that will help. The ZA's detailed findings, which were discussed earlier, were basically same as the presentation by the developer. I hope you will take into consideration the appeals board, which found all of these things. The project does not meet the 5 findings of the ordinance. It will be detrimental to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker, please give us your name and address.
My name is Charles Salverson, 22838 Irwin Street, Woodland Hills, 91367. Please do not spoil one of the few remaining RA zone neighborhoods. Have lived at this address since 1958, have been able to coexist with raccoons, possums, coyotes, ground squirrels, gophers, and eastern fox squirrels. But this new development is very much less than desirable than those that I have mentioned. The proposed commercial development is not in keeping with a residential area. It will look like a large motel. The planned operation will be larger than the present lot size. There are ample assisted living facilities already within the 500-foot radius of the proposed project. These small units are in homes that blend into the surrounding area, and you don't even know that they exist or are commercial. It is terrible that a few non-residents can tell what is good for us and the neighborhood. There are some youth programs that depend upon an RA zone. These are the 4-H clubs, a national organization administered by the Land Grant University, which is the University of California. Also, FFA, Future Farmers America, have chapters located in some large high schools, so that RA zoning must be preserved and not fall by the wayside. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please go to name and address.
Hi, my name is Patty Moser, 23547 Burbank Boulevard in the Walnut Acres area. The decision made by the planning commissioners was based on law, not feelings. This is not a political issue, it's a law issue that has already been determined by the correct commission. There's a beautiful facility in Woodland Hills on Ventura Boulevard that would offer this same type of care and service. The only difference is that it's located in an appropriately zoned area. There's no shortage of senior facilities, large or small, in the West Valley. While we do not have any hotel-sized facilities in Walnut Acres, since that would be violating land use regulation laws, we do have numerous smaller residential-type facilities throughout the neighborhood. I have one directly across the street from me, and I have no issues with it being there. It looks like a single-family residence. It does not detract from the looks of the neighborhood, does not impact traffic or parking in the area, and does not intrude on the peace and quiet of our beautiful community. However, if it were the size of a hotel, I would have an issue with that. And I live on Burbank Boulevard, which has the exact same number of lanes as Fallbrook Avenue. So if this goes through, should I be afraid that they'll be coming for the major highway of Burbank Boulevard next? And the answer to that would be yes. I'm asking that you respect the decision made by the planning commissioners on June 28th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker.
Good afternoon, Councilman Huizar and Councilman Reyes. My name is Monique Breyer. I live at 6043 Shirley Avenue in Tarzana. I am a residential real estate broker in the southwest San Fernando Valley, and I specialize in the sale of RA properties and the preservation of RA neighborhood property character. I am urging Plum to reject the effort by this developer and Councilman Zhang to overturn the democratic decision by the South Valley Area Planning Commission to reject the ZA's original approval of this project. The South Valley Commission correctly found that the developer had not met all 5 findings required by law for such a project. As an expert who has performed literally hundreds of residential and commercial property valuations in the San Fernando Valley, I have seen no evidence that the developer or the city has conducted any studies that show that this project would, 1, not be materially detrimental or injurious to properties or improvements in the immediate area, or 2, would not create an adverse impact on street access or circulation in the surrounding neighborhood. No project, including this one, should proceed without having met all 5 of the legal requirements. Ignoring the law as a matter of convenience or expedience will set a precedent and have a future negative impact that ripples to other neighborhoods across the city, but especially the RA neighborhoods that developers have admitted in public hearings that are their preferred targets for development. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker. You've got your 2 minutes, sir.
I only need one. I spoke for a minute before. I just want to emphasize what a couple of people before me have said. In order to grant this, the zoning administrator has to meet all of the requirements of the elder care facility. He can meet some. You heard a very long discussion here about height. We don't care about height. What I'm concerned about is bulk. And the bulk of this facility is not compatible with the current or future uses in the area. It's about 25 times the 50,000 square foot projected size of the facility is about 25 times the 2,000 approximately square foot size of homes. The South Valley Area Planning Commission understood the code and acted correctly We'd like you to follow their lead and reject the ZA approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Nancy McLean at 23108 Collins Street, Woodland Hills.
Good afternoon.
And I'm also on the Plum Committee of Woodland Hills. And I also am opposed to this project, as you can tell. And also for the record, could you put that Mr. Englander is not present today?
Yes, it's on the record already.
Okay, good. Okay, and I just noticed that Matt Epstein was in here, who was the head of the South Valley. And I have always found him to be extremely fair, and I just hope that you maybe would contact him or some of the other people on South Valley to get a really broad perspective of why they made their decision, because they're, very experienced in this. And, I understand that you probably have a lot of respect for him, as I do. But he is tough, and sometimes I don't agree with him. In this case, I do. And I hope that you will, go along with South Valley. I find it very odd that Mr. Zhang has even done this. The neighbors don't want this. He has broken his promises, which has not made things easy or nice, and which I don't enjoy either. But I just hope that you will not go with your colleague and really look into it with open eyes and ears. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. And just for the record, does anyone else would like to speak that's opposing the project? Seeing none, we'll move to this side. Ma'am, would you like your 2 minutes plus?
Terry Kaufman, Macias City Attorney's Office. I just want to clarify the procedures for public comment on these types of matters. The chair has the discretion to limit the time of speakers as long as they're giving the different sides equal time. The chair has the ability to actually cut off comments that are repetitive. The chair has the ability to limit each side to a set number of minutes or to limit each person individually and to give different items on the agenda different amounts of time depending on whatever factors you deem appropriate. In this case, while you started out with 10 minutes on a side, at some point determined that that wasn't going to work and then gave everybody an additional 2 minutes. The second to the last gentleman spoke apparently for 2 minutes per your clock, which you're looking at. You gave him additional time. And the appellant here, Ms. Schul, also spoke for quite a bit of time, and you're giving her additional time to speak as well. So I just want the record to reflect that that's what happened here today.
She did speak for 4 minutes, but I'm giving her 2 more.
Okay,
so
thank
please.
you very much. I was very disjointed in those 4 minutes because of the confusion here. One thing that has not been brought up yet is the CEQA checklist, and we would maintain that the mitigated negative declaration does not adequately address those items that have been noted as potentially having an adverse impact on the neighborhood, and this has to do with light pollution, removal of trees, and as well parking and driveway hazards. We don't think that those have been adequately addressed in the mitigated negative declaration, and that those would not be mitigated by what has been set forth in that report. We also believe that the CEQA checklist missed a number of areas where there would be a potential negative, potentially significant negative impact on the property, and this is with regard to hydrology, water quality, and noise, where the CEQA checklist indicated no impact. We believe that this is wrong. First of all, that this is a project that will cause significant runoff into a street that already floods when there's significant rainfall. The streets in Walnut Acres do not have sewer. The water flows down to Fallbrook, and that intersection has been known to flood. When we put a massive structure on that property with parking and hardscape, that will be even less ability for absorption of the water. Second of all, the checklist fails to look at impacts with regard to ambient noise. Obviously, there will be more ambient noise on this property with the 90 to 100 people, as well as noise from ambulances and trucks backing up. And finally, the checklist fails to note impacts with regard to inadequate emergency access. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's about 46 minutes on one side. Now we'll go to the other side. I believe we have Mr. Brad Rosenheim. Your speaker card is up. Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Member Wizar. My name is Brad Rosenheim. I'm here today on behalf of the Chandler-Pratt Watermark Partnership, proposed owners and operators of this elder care facility. We're very proud to be here today, and we're very proud of this senior housing community that's before you today. This implements, in essence, the City Council's vision for increased senior housing in the City of Los Angeles. Section 14.3 of the Zoning Code has a very specific purpose, and that's to create a clear and unequivocal path to the creation of quality elder care housing in this city. It is to meet an unquestioned need that was established during the debate on this code section, to meet the growing senior population in this community and throughout the City of Los Angeles. There is a fundamental stipulation to the clear path, and that is that the applicant is able to demonstrate to the zoning administrator that the project is compatible with the neighborhood and, in essence, does no harm. Mr. Tovar spent a tremendous amount of time and effort creating very well thought out, comprehensive, and articulate justifications to each and every finding that is required. And his determination reaches the conclusion that the proposed elder care project is in fact compatible with the community and the neighborhood and in fact does no harm. I'm not going to belabor all of the stuff you've heard. I would just like to remind you, Fallbrook is a major highway. Walnut Acres is a residential community. Fallbrook is not. Fallbrook is a very mixed community with a number of institutional uses in the R zone as well as major commercial projects up and down the boulevard. It's a distinct area.
To be fair, we'll give you 4 more minutes, equal to the time of the other side.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very short. Because of the time, I will cut my comments short. We provided you with a very detailed letter dated August 6th, which explains the technical justifications. And I just want to make or remind the committee, I doubt if I need to, but the threshold is not consistency or comparability or being identical with what's there. It's the compatibility. And we have spent a tremendous amount of time working with the community, 9 meetings, if not more, modifying the project to make it a very compatible project that was deemed compatible and not harmful by the zoning administrator. We're happy to answer any questions. I would like to have Mr. David Freshwater come up. He is the Freshwater of Watermark to describe the project for you a little bit in terms of operational issues.
Okay. He's considered the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Councilmember Reyes, members of the committee, thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is David Freshwater. My address is 2020 West Rudisill Road, Tucson, Arizona. I'm the chairman of Watermark Retirement Communities. Chandler, Pratt, and Watermark are partners in and operators of the proposed senior housing community plan for Fallbrook. I do want to point out that Watermark is the operating side and Chandler Pratt is the development side, the local development side. And as a team, we have a tremendous amount of experience in senior housing. I started in senior housing business in 1985, making our company and me one of the pioneers in the industry. That's a kind way of saying I've been around and I'm old. We operate over 30 communities in 16 states, from New York to Sarasota, Seattle to La Jolla. We serve just over 6,000 residents and employ approximately 4,000 associates. Unlike many applicants in rezoning, we will not only develop and build, but we also will be the operator and the owner of this, hopefully for many, many years to come. As an experienced operator, I've been through a number of rezoning processes just like this one around the country. It is natural for surrounding residents to fear change and assume the worst. But having done this for so long, I can speak with authority that our proposed community will be quite compatible within this neighborhood. In fact, it creates a perfect transition and buffer for the neighborhood from the more intense uses and traffic along the major highway Fallbrook. Our opponents have continually referred to our proposed community as a commercial project. That is simply not an accurate characterization. We are a residential community. When built, this will become home to seniors, just like your home. Our experience is very definitive. Seniors do not want to live in business areas. They, like all of us, want to live in a residential setting. They too enjoy all the things this neighborhood. They too will enjoy all the things this neighborhood has to offer. When built, this wouldn't be the first watermark community located within a residential setting. By way of example, we own and operate similar, if not quite larger, senior housing communities in Beverly Hills, Dana Point, and Palm Desert, all of which are located within, and I mean within, not just on the edge of, but within established residential areas. In each of these cases, we've proven to be very quiet and a compatible neighbor. Finally, I want to speak to the demand for these types of senior communities. The City of Los Angeles...
Please conclude.
Okay, thanks. Do you want me to wrap up, or do I have a few minutes? Because I think, am I pretty much speaking for our whole side then? Yes, so when I conclude, we'll be finished on our side.
Okay.
Okay.
That technically finishes Brad's 4 minutes, I guess, Mr. Rosenheim. So you got your 2 minutes.
Oh.
Please conclude.
Okay. Well, the City of Los Angeles is very forward-thinking when it developed the elder care provisions. There is an age wave coming. I mentioned last time at the hearing that it's been reported that if there would be needing 5 times the number of senior housing communities than what exists today to meet the demand by 2035. But with respect to current demand, we provided studies as part of our opposition of the appeal that demonstrated the current demand. In summary, we think this will be a compatible use. We look forward to becoming a great neighbor, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker is Susan Klenner. Then Ed Klenner. Then Jim Woodward.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. My name is Susan Klenner, and I live at 23150 Collins Street in Woodland Hills in Walnut Acres. And for the record, I'm a licensed California real estate broker. In more than 4 decades in Walnut Acres, I have seen the fleeting intrusion into our neighborhood of such illegal commercial ventures as a de facto film studio and a dog boarding kennel, and of course, I have opposed them. However, upon thoughtful examination of the current proposal for 6221 Fallbrook, I have recognized that it will be an asset to the neighborhood, provide a buffer to protect surrounding homes from the noisy traffic of Fallbrook Avenue, and be an elegant contribution to our community's ways of addressing the needs of an aging population. I am no longer young, and while aging in place might be my preference, if it should become necessary for me to find shelter in an assisted living facility, I would not want to be warehoused in unfamiliar commercial surroundings. but instead, I would hope to live out my time close to the familiar scenes, friends, and family of my youth and middle years. That, of course, is the concept of 6221 Fallbrook, and I applaud it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ed Klenner. And then Jim Woodward.
My name is Ed Klenner. I live at 23150 Collins Street in Woodland Hills. Throughout the 42 years that I've lived in Walnut Acres, I've consistently opposed commercial development that would encroach on our residential enclave, including previous commercial development proposed on the subject site. However, given the location of the property at 6221 Fallbrook, on a busy street at the edge of Walnut Acres, I've come to believe that this proposed elder care facility may well be the perfect project for this long derelict project or property. I ask you to accept the zoning administrator's determination granting approval for this elder care facility. Now, about the dark side. The opposition to this elder care facility has made references associating Councilman Zhang with the dark side. A closer look at the dark side reveals that the dark side is in fact the opposition to this facility. The unsubstantiated histrionics emanating from this opposition and orchestrated in large measure by one person are more emotional than rational and more fanciful than factual. I ask you to examine those assertions carefully before accepting them as truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Woodward. And then Louis Frasco.
Good afternoon, councilpersons. My name is Jim Woodward. I live at 21900 Mary Lee, number 274 in Woodland Hills, 91367. I'm one of the listing agents on this parcel. We've had the listing on this for over 2 years. We have, my associate and I, Lou Frasco, have fielded hundreds and hundreds of calls. There has been no lack of interest in this parcel. We've shown this to people, to prospective buyers and builders that have wanted to do condominiums, a fast food place, a self-storage facility, an office building for doctors, lawyers, dentists, and we've had a multitude of people wanting to revert it back to a daycare facility or preschool. All of which Councilman Zhang and Jonathan Brand have been in opposition to. Now, when the idea was floated that an elder care facility be built on this site, it just seemed to make perfect sense because everything kind of flowed together. There was a need in the neighborhood, not only the aging population, the demographics were correct, the parcel lends itself perfectly for that, and as far as the land use, it is our opinion that an elder care facility on this parcel would be the highest and best use of this land. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Louis Frasco and Colleen Simmers. That's fine. We don't yield time, so we'll go to the next speaker, Colleen Simmers and John Simmers.
Council members, my name is John Simmers, and I've lived in the community my entire life. I love Woodland Hills. I love everything about it, and I take this very seriously, what is being proposed here. I strongly support this project. In any other community, Fallbrook Avenue would be known as Main Street. It runs right down the center of Woodland Hills. It runs right down the center of Walnut Acres. It's a wide 4-lane highway with parking on both sides, and it has mixed use. It is the perfect location for a senior assisted living center. It's one block from almost 1 million square feet of commercial development. It's one block from a fire station. It's one block. Seniors that live in this project won't even have to cross a street to get to all the vital shopping. There's a bus stop right in front of the project. I can't think of a better location for this project than 6221 Fallbrook. Donna Shuley, who has spoken today, will have you believe that she represents the entire community. It's simply not the case. She represents a handful of people, 15 or 18 neighbors who have attended these meetings, and that's it. And they've heckled at other meetings as well.
So some respect, please.
This project is, I believe, very, very well suited for this community. We should be embracing the concept of senior housing in this area. We should be welcoming Watermark into this community. This is a company that operates 30 facilities across the country. They have 6,500 elder people that they care for. These are not novices at this. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how much parking is needed. They're the pros in this area. This, I believe, is exactly why the senior elder ordinance was passed. I urge you, my family, my friends, my neighbors, urge you to pass this and to support this. And I do want to say that I really appreciate Councilman Zhang taking the position to support this in spite of the relatively few but loud and vocal opposition.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Colleen Simmers, and I'm here today in support of this project, and I speak for many who would like to be here but couldn't because of work responsibilities. Fallbrook Mall is at the corner of Victory Boulevard and Fallbrook Avenue, which is one block from the proposed property. I support this, and I'm there on a regular basis. And I was there the other day, and I looked around, and I was surprised at how many elderly people I saw there. And I realized these are our neighbors. These are our neighbors' mothers and fathers. And I thought to myself, don't we as a community, maybe as a Christian community, have a responsibility and a commitment to provide a place for them to have a beautiful, safe place to live, have a place where they will have social activities to attend, and to have a place to go to feel like they're on their own and they're not a noose around their family's residence, where they can be on their own. So I don't understand what the question here is. It's other than, to me, it is our responsibility as a community to offer this to our family members. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, Joanne Reese, then John Reese. Let's come on up, please.
Hi, my name is Joanne Reese, and I live at 20812 Devonshire Street in Chatsworth, California. The baby boomer generation has a huge responsibility to our aging population in providing facilities of housing for seniors, of which some of us will be entering before we know it. It has to be a local and convenient, well-designed and structured to give peace of mind and support when the residents transition to this place. When a facility is available and ready, it is huge when deciding on a place, which can be at a moment's notice. Our seniors deserve this kind of facility, and so do we if we are family care providers. It helps to serve us when we need to make these kind of decisions for other people. To have this on a main thoroughfare, which has an off-ramp off the 101, a bus route, a mall, churches, grocery, fire assistance, medical and dental facilities, all in walking distance, even a gas station a block away. This is a progressive street. I have lived there in this community in my youth, and it has progressed so much since that time. I strongly approve this use of this property. We have seen change, and we change with it. I am proud to currently live across the street from an elder care facility where I see seniors honored and nicely provided for. I ask you to approve this use. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. John Reese.
She started already. Okay. My name is John Reese. I live at 20812 Devonshire Street, Chatsworth, California, 91311. I approve this, and agree and approve with this project because I have lived across the street from a assisted living center most of my life, and as far as complaints of certain things that people have brought up as far as noise, parking, I have been personally looking across the street all my life growing up, seeing that this has actually not been that as a case. That facility actually holds max capacity of 268, which is a little bit larger than the proposed project. And I mean, the fact is that people are not getting younger. People are getting older. They're needing places to go. So I approve this, and I want to thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And that concludes public comment. I believe that's all the cards. We do have the council members deputy here. Like to come on up to finish the public comment period. Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon. Short and sweet, I assume. Good afternoon, council members. Doug Minsman speaking on behalf of Councilman Dennis Zhang. I wanted to indicate or let you know I believe turned in 4 more letters of support earlier in the hearing, one of them actually being from the Southland Alzheimer's Association. Also wanted to congratulate Mr. Tovar on his recent promotion to an AZA, and I think that he's a very capable guy and a good choice for that because the findings that he made in this case we think are accurate and correct. Everyone has talked about that the 5 findings couldn't be made. Mr. Tovar went forth with 20-plus pages of effort to indicate why this project at this location is a good project and conforms with the unified permitting for elder care under the code. The appellant made a lot of refutations of his findings. There wasn't much talk of that actually in the public comment about how he did not make the correct findings. To touch on some of those things, talking about how this project is not compatible with the neighborhood, I think that you've already heard that there's a difference between being compatible and being identical with what exists in the neighborhood. And in that same paragraph where the appellant talks about this not being a compatible project, cites 50 other assisted living facilities within a 10,000-foot radius of this site. So that would tell me that not only is this compatible with what's in the neighborhood, it's already what the fabric of the neighborhood consists of. The applicant states that it's not in conformance with the general plan, which is not true. As you know, the housing element that the council voted on and the state accepted calls for the creation of housing in our communities for those who need services and assistance, the elderly and the homeless and those with disabilities. So to say that this is not in conformance with the general plan is blatantly untrue. We talked about the impact on traffic. Mr. Tovar indicated, and as you have in your packets there,
please continue.
DOT did a site plan analysis, saw that there would be no significant traffic generated by this project. They made some recommendations on how to treat driveways on the side street and on Fallbrook. The applicant graciously did those and took that main and only access, except for emergencies, on and off of the major Class 2 highway that this project fronts on. You also heard that there's a MTA stop directly in front of, which is going to greatly, and it's 1,000 feet away from Victory Boulevard, so that there's the ability for staff and visitors who are coming to visit relatives and friends and loved ones in this facility don't need to be a single occupant car to get there. Councilman wanted this to have a second review because felt that the decision that South Valley made on this was weak, to be quite frank. There wasn't much in the way of findings behind the decision that they made, and we felt that getting this in front of the esteemed members of Plum who've got a little more experience and knowledge in this could see that the findings that Mr. Tovar made for this project, and the appellant only talks about the elder care findings, so I'm assuming there was no issue with the actual site plan review. That said, the reason why we wanted this done is because this is the appropriate project for this site. Felt that you would see that the findings that Mr. Tovar made are good for this and in keeping with the code.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Tavar, would you like to come to the microphone, please? The staff. You've heard both sides of the discussion. There's a lot of weight placed on your observations on this case, on this project. Are there any findings and or issues you'd like to highlight, given that you gave us, if the previous speaker said you had 20 pages of findings and analysis, then you must have given us the Reader's Digest version when you first started. That being said, is there anything you want to emphasize and or amplify given the discussion before us?
As quickly as I tried to cover, because there's 12 findings and that's just a lot of ground to cover, I think I made most of the points in my presentation with respect to the design and orientation of the buildings, how it's designed around courtyards, how there's adequate setbacks from the adjoining single-family lots, as to why, staff's position is that this is consistent with existing and planned future development. It may not be single-family dwellings. I will recognize and say, and this was a concern at the public hearing when the original plans were submitted, the height, obviously, the concept of a two-story facility seems very reasonable. 36 feet does sound like a significant height for a two-story building, but when you look at the plans closer, as I mentioned earlier, I think that because of the way the building is designed, it's not just a square, it's going in different directions, you got different roof lines going. Staff gave consideration to reducing the height, but all that would result in is maybe a flat roof with a boxy, not necessarily limiting the stories, because I think if we go down to one story, again, what's our standard of measurement that we're applying in determining whether or not the size of the facility is too large, and where do we draw the line? And yes, we granted relief from the zoning regulations to allow a 50,000 square foot facility when the maximum floor area is 12,600 square feet. We're allowed to do that under the elder care provisions in order to facilitate these types of facilities, as long as we make the finding of practical difficulty, which I didn't get too much into that finding, but again, it's just a matter of logic and practicality that you really can't, if you were to limit the site to 12,600 square feet, you would end up with a maximum of 16 guest rooms, and with the level of support services that this type of facility needs, it really wouldn't be feasible. So then, if it's okay then to go beyond the 12,600 square feet, well, what's the right size? And in the absence of any specific, site-specific standards or criteria or any other standards provided for us in the findings or in the elder care provisions, all we can do is fall back on is what's allowed under the code. And as I mentioned, it's allowed a 36-foot height, but the building doesn't reach 36 feet all the way around. It meets all of the yard and area provisions, and it meets the parking regulations. With respect to parking, I'm just going to point out that a total of 26 parking spaces is required. They're providing 30 parking spaces. They have 4 surplus parking spaces. It's not a lot, but it's something. But beyond that, I understand and I'm sensitive to the fact that there's a lot of concerns about what may happen. But I don't think that any of the concerns that were raised rise to a level of evidence that we can rely on to conclude that there is going to be a material detrimental impact or injury to any of the surrounding properties based on the concerns that were raised. So beyond that, the only thing that I could add is that in response to those concerns, I did incorporate as many conditions as possible to make sure that the operation and the use is conducted consistent with the way it was presented, which is what the zoning administrator relied on to make the findings in the affirmative. So, again, the conditions limit the maximum floor area as presented, require that the setbacks that are shown on the plans are adhered to, require that the landscape plan that you saw is adhered to, requires that trees be planted staggered so that they're located in front of windows so that they can screen the view of the second-story windows onto surrounding properties. Beyond that, all loading and unloading activities must be conducted on the site. 18-wheel trucks are prohibited. Hours of deliveries and trash pickup are limited, I think, from 8 a.m. from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. by condition number 21, Monday through Friday. And so, yes, if you're going to hear trucks backing out with the beep beep sound. It's only going to be during business hours. There's not going to be any late night deliveries taking place. Saturdays deliveries are limited from 9 to 12, and there's no deliveries permitted on Sundays. I think even though only 26 parking spaces are provided, 30 parking spaces are being required as part of this determination to ensure that those 4 surplus spaces do remain available. Beyond that, the conditions require that employee shifts be staggered. And again, staff tried to condition it consistent with the way it was presented, but not to a level where we would be micromanaging. And so we weren't going to establish a ratio of staff to residents because, again, not even the state has that requirement. I think I heard a ratio of 3 staff to 1 resident. I'm not an expert in that area. You can ask the applicant about, what the ratio is and what makes sense for this type of facility, but I wouldn't anticipate that it would be that lopsided. So beyond that, I would just say that with the conditions of operation, and for all of the reasons that I outlined in my presentation, we conclude that all of the findings can be made in the affirmative.
And it is how many lanes in the highway in front of this establishment? How wide is that?
Yeah, Fallbrook Avenue has 4 traffic lanes, 2 in each direction, and then a parking lane on each side. So it's pretty wide. I don't know what the actual width is. I'm sure it's over 100 feet, but it's probably
it's a major
6
street.
lanes. It's a dedicated major highway.
Okay. Well, Councilman, any questions?
The only question I have is, there are some public statements that this is out of character with the neighborhood. And with respect to our guidelines, 2 questions, 2 approaches. One is, within our guidelines, how does it fit? Is there any discretion or approval that we're making? But aside from that, secondly, taking it on its own, just looking at it, do you think it's out of character with the rest of the neighborhood?
I think you're hitting kind of the crux of the issue, and I'm going to take the position, and I'll say this, that Commissioner Cochran of the South Valley Area Planning Commission stated, and I think he hit the nail on the head, he didn't like what he saw when he looked at it. And he says, but I'm not a design review board, and I don't have discretion over the design, therefore I'm granting the appeal and denying it. Staff's position is a little bit different. It's probably personally higher than I would like to see it, but that's my personal opinion. It's not based on the findings. Beyond that, I don't have, as I mentioned earlier, as long as it complies with the height of the zoning code. I think if they were building, exceeding the allowable floor area, and on top of that, also building 3 stories and exceeding the allowable height, I think that would certainly be too much, and I don't think staff would have any reservations with cutting it back. But to the extent that, as I mentioned, 40%, it's less than, the building occupies, the footprint occupies less than 40% of the lot, and it's more than 60% of the lot remains open to the sky, whether it's courtyards or parking or whatever the case is. So again, in the absence of any defined standards or any standard of measurement that we could evaluate this project against, all we can rely on is the fact that it's consistent with all other aspects of the code, and we really would be acting in an arbitrary and capricious manner if we decided to say, well, maybe only 1.5 stories or 2 stories or 24 feet instead of 36 feet, and why are we being selective on an elder care facility and picking on an elder care facility and not another type of use maybe that we would allow to be built in conformance to the height.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Council, I'm prepared to make a motion. Based on the discussion before us and the analysis by our staff, the observations from the council office, I would move that we deny the appeals and therefore sustain the zoning administrator's determination, adopt the findings and conditions in the zoning administrator's determination, and find that the ZA did not err in this judgment. That would be my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, that'll be the action of this committee. Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, this...
There's no report on item 10, Council.
No report on item 10. I know he left. Anybody for public comment? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.